Hey guys, welcome to the Touchdown Table. I'm Ryan, that's Tyler, that's Jordan. And this is going to be a college football video. The season's in full swing. Many conferences have already begun playing. The Big Ten and Pac-12 are coming soon. So we are going to give you our top 8, currently our top 8 in the college football rankings. We argue about the rankings a lot between the three of us. You know, different factors that some people weigh in. So there's going to be some things that we agree on, but some dissension among the table, as there always is. Let's start talking about our top 8 teams right now. Obviously, like I said, going to be different opinions, but let's get started.
Okay. We just running through 1 to 8. Each of us say ours.
Or should we do like 8, 8 here? What do we want to do?
Let's do 1 1 because that's
1 1 1 8 8 1 1 1 2 2 2 3 3.
Okay, number 1.
So I feel like 1's going to be pretty consistent throughout the board. It's the Clemson Tigers to me. They're playing phenomenal. They have the best.
I don't think it's as obvious as you made it seem, but I
feel like a lot of people will put them at 1. They had the most points by almost 100, going at 1 in the AP poll. They just have the best roster in college football right now. Have the best quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, and possibly the best running back in Travis Etienne. We'll talk about another running back upcoming soon, whether you have him at 2 or 3. We'll talk about Najee Harris in Alabama. But Clemson, they're doing very, very well right now. It's hard to bet against them, especially with Trevor Lawrence being the number 1 Heisman contender and just having a great team overall. Clemson at number 1.
So that was a really good point you made there at the end, and I really think that should be obvious, but you have to think about it. I do have Clemson at number 1, but it wasn't easy for me making the decision because there were some other teams that had some impressive wins, and you got to take in all the factors. But when you look at Clemson, I think it's actually kind of good for Clemson that other teams in the ACC are getting better, because the question with them always is, like, we think you're one of the best teams, but you never have a chance to prove it. But UNC is getting better. They get to play Notre Dame this year. Miami was very hyped going into that game, and they demolished them. And that was really the deciding factor for me, that they were able to get a dominant win over a ranked team, because that's also something that the teams that are 2 and 3 in my rankings have. So for them to get that, really, really, really just kind of put the nail in the coffin. I thought about this for a while, though. I had to, write all the top 3 teams. I had to write their schedules out. So this was not a clear-cut decision, but I did come to a pretty confident conclusion. They're just dominant out of the gate. They take care of business, and some of these other 2 teams have had a little iffy games, so that's really what was the deciding factor for me. Clemson at 1 this week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm agreeing with you. I like that Jordan weirdly, in the beginning of the video, I was joking. Clemson should be at number 1 right now. Impressive win over Miami.
It was joking, guys.
I was just joking.
I joke with them,
I mean, their offense is just as good as we expected them to be. Their defense is playing all right as well, better than all right. They did a great job stopping Miami last week. Nothing to say they go away from the number 1 spot, so let's go to number 2. Should I start it or do you start it?
I guess I'll just go.
Well, we'll snake it, because I want to start. All right, at number 2, I am putting Georgia at number 2.
Oh, Georgia's on your mind.
Georgia is on my mind at number 2. An impressive win again for Georgia, this time playing Tennessee. They finally got their quarterback situation figured out. It didn't go very well in week 1. Offensively, they're rolling. They don't look like they're stopping. Tennessee was supposed to be a pretty good team, know? But they just kind of dropped. They dropped unexpectedly, Yeah. They're at the top, and then Georgia came in and just put them in their
These
place.
AP poll voters aren't biased, though. I mean,
no, not at all. So I have Georgia at number 2. I think that's where they stand. It's close between Georgia and Alabama, but I think they got a more impressive win. I'll talk more about Alabama later, but yeah.
I also do have Georgia at number 2, and I thought about putting them at number 1, but I didn't do it just because of the way that they've come rocky out of the gate. You saw in that Tennessee game, they started out really bad, and I really just think they tried at halftime twice, so that's a factor. It just hasn't looked as pretty with Georgia. It just hasn't really been as, clear-cut, dominant like we see with Clemson. So that was the deciding factor. But this team's done well. They found their guy in Stetson Bennett after having a little, meltdown in Arkansas week 1, trying to find who their quarterback is. And you've really seen this offense kind of come into a new dimension that we really didn't see last year. So that's why they're at number 2 for me. They've beaten Auburn and Tennessee in the last 2 weeks. That's 2 ranked wins in my eyes. And that win over Arkansas week 1, let's not forget, Arkansas, they're better than a lot of people expected. They almost beat Auburn, and a lot of people think they should have. So Georgia putting together a solid resume early, and that's why they're at number 2 for me.
They should have. He threw the ball backwards. But even the SEC came out and said that after the game. But it is what it is. It's in the books, and they'll have to deal with it. Anyways, these 2 picked Georgia at 2. I'm picking Alabama at 2. and we're having a feud at the table. Well, this feud is going to be settled after this week because I'm surprised none of you mentioned it, but these two teams, Alabama and Georgia, are playing each other this week, 8 p.m. It's tomorrow when this video comes out. It's going to be on Friday. So go and watch that game. I will definitely be watching that. I think it's 8 Eastern, yeah.
That's going to be a fun one.
That's going to be a very fun game to watch. I'm excited to get my eyes on that game and fill my football needs by watching that game. But Alabama, they've been playing great right now. And the reason I kind of had them over Georgia is just because I've watched Alabama more than I have Georgia. Honestly, I haven't watched Georgia play yet, and I'm not going to judge them without watching them play. But I know Stetson Bennett's having a great season. I know they're a very good football team, but I've seen Alabama. I've liked what I've seen from Mac Jones. I like what I've seen from the receivers. Their defense was basically non-existent last week, but their offense is still very good. So I have Alabama at 2, and we'll make this one quick because they already explained it. Georgia, I have at 3. They've looked pretty good. Like I said, this will be settled after this week, so we'll see where these two teams fall.
My number 3 is, as you could probably predict, it is Alabama. It's close. I mean, 1 through 3, I think it's pretty close. 3 really good teams, so I think they're kind of on a separate tier from everyone else, at least of those that have played. Alabama has 1 ranked win. It was a dominant win over Texas A&M, which does carry some more weight now because Texas A&M did upset Florida, so that's good for Alabama. But last week, that offense is awesome. 63 points. Najee Harris, 5 touchdowns. The receivers they have. You know about Jalen Waddle and, Devonta Smith, but John Mechie is also a guy that's emerged as a solid number 3 receiver for them. The tight end, Forrestall's guy, is doing good. And that team, they score points. 52 against Texas A&M, 3 against Ole Miss. But that defense just did not look good. That game was tight into the fourth quarter. And again, Georgia has 1 more ranked win than them in my eyes. Georgia having 2 ranked wins, Alabama having 1. Really close, and obviously these two will get to lay it all on the line against each other tomorrow, so that'll be fun. But for now, Alabama's at 3 for me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I have Alabama at 3 for me as well. So we're the same so far in our top 3. It's not too much of a surprise that they are where they are. I just think that their defense did not look good enough. Georgia looked better both ways, and Alabama just wasn't that. So I'm going to keep it a little bit quicker because we got to get moving a little bit because we got 8 teams to talk about for each of us. I'm having Alabama at number 3. Their defense has to improve. Now to number 4. I go with a team we haven't seen at all, so I can't say much about them. Ohio State's at number 4 for me. I mean, from what we've seen last year from them, it's pretty obvious that they're going to be a good team. Justin Fields is going to be able to do his thing. Still got some of his receivers there. Lost their running back, but they got a good backup running back. And their defense has been good for years. They got a bunch of recruits this year, as they always do. So it's going to be exciting for Ohio State. I have them at 4, even though they are 0-0.
Master T and Trey Sermon.
Oh, yeah, they're running nice. So, wait, are we staying here? No. Yeah. You were. So my turn.
Yeah, we're jumping over
here. Gotcha. So, I also do have Ohio State at 4, and, it sucks that they couldn't start, their season on time, but this team is arguably the reason that the Big Ten is playing right now. You saw Ryan Day, Justin Fields, Sean Wade, guys really fought for this album because this team has a chip on their shoulder from the way last year, and so I'm so excited to watch this team play. So this video, I'm going to think so. If you're watching this video the day it came out, which is Friday, the Ohio State Buckeyes will be playing a week from tomorrow. So the wait is almost over to see this great team. Their first game, October 24th against Nebraska. So they'll look to start their season 1-0 then. But they just have playmakers. You saw them last year. You saw this team really doing well. And what?
Casually just said they're going to start the season 1-0.
I think they will.
I think so too.
Yeah. Week 2, right, on Halloween, they play Penn State, so that'll be interesting. But Ohio State, just look at last year. A lot of returning talent. Justin Fields is going to do his thing as a Heisman contender. Can't wait to see these guys get to play.
I hate to be boring here, but we got Buckeyes across the board. I really like what I've seen from them. They were 1 play away from making the national championship, but then this play happened from Justin Fields. Come on, everyone do it. There it is. Yeah, there it is. And the throw to the end zone to Chris Olave, where there was some miscommunication, and Clemson ended up going to the national championship and losing to Joe Burrow and LSU. That's irrelevant now. We're on to a new season. I have Ohio State here. They impressed me too much last year to put them any farther back. So now comes the interesting one. 2 ACC teams probably dueling for this spot between North Carolina and Notre Dame. I'm going to go with Notre Dame for this spot just because I think that they're a more rounded team. I like their offense. I like Ian Book. And their defense is, it's sustainable. North Carolina's offense has been great. I love Sam Howell before the season started, and he's been playing very well. I hope the best for him. I hope he keeps playing some great football because it's exciting to watch him and watch him do good. But their defense has just been letting up too many points. They were in a narrow game kind of last week for a little bit. They kind of came away with it at the end, but I just need to see more from North Carolina's defense. So Notre Dame gets that 4 spot, and obviously when it comes back around to me, I'll be taking North Carolina. I'll explain that barely, but yeah, Ryan, you're up.
Yeah. Again, hate to be boring, but I also got Notre Dame at 5. A lot of it you have to factor in like teams that have not played yet, but they've taken care of business. They're 3-0. Ian Book looking pretty good. They're making plays. Their first game against Duke was a little bit of a scare. I believe it might have been trailing at halftime, or at least it was close.
But then they kind of ripped them apart.
Yeah, then they got better in the second half, won that game 27-13, then dominated University of Southern Florida. They did have a game postponed, but hopefully they'll make that up soon enough. And then most recently they beat Florida State 42-26. So I'm going to keep it short. This team is 3-0, and I don't really see any other teams behind them because after this we'll have a stretch of teams that haven't played yet, so we'll get to that later. But I really think this team with the 3 wins they've got, you can't put a team that hasn't played yet above them. But, still a good team. I'm not saying they're only there because no one else has played. This team has played well. They're coached well by Brian Kelly. So we will see what the future holds for them and how long they can stay in the top 5 or possibly go higher.
Yeah, Brian Kelly has been a guy who has kept this team relevant. By the way, I'm picking Notre Dame as well for a while as well. Even though, they kind of dropped out last year, but they made a resurgence in an unexpected way.
Yeah.
Lost Chase Claypool, but still have a couple weapons around there. Ian Book has been playing great. And like you said, the resume is not good. But the way they're beating teams has impressed me enough to put them at 5. I'm going to keep it simple. So I have Notre Dame at number 5 in my rankings. Number 6. This was a bit of a tougher one, but I went with Penn State at number 6, who has not played a game yet. I wanted to go with North Carolina because, they've actually played games. I didn't, though, because I think once Penn State comes back, they're going to be very good. We saw some parts of it last year with the roster they were building. It was not exactly perfect. I think they get it done this year. They've had high expectations. They're ready to go. I think these Big Ten teams in general are going to want to play their best because they didn't even know if they were going to play.
Yeah.
So that motivation will get them going. I think Penn State, even though they haven't played, is at number 6.
Well, great minds think alike. I do have Penn State at 6 as well, and I can't wait to see this team get going. They play Ohio State week 2 on Halloween, so that's really quickly going to approach for them. I know they got to take care of week 1 first. They play Indiana, I believe. But when you look at this team, I really think that you have to understand that they are not far off from Ohio State. They are not far off from Ohio State. That game's going to be close. I don't know what he's looking at, and we're only doing top 8, buddy. But as he looks through my rankings, you don't really agree with my rankings, but that's okay. We'll get to that. That's what this video is about. But Penn State, I'm trusting them, giving them the benefit of the doubt. They've been good, and we'll see really, really early how good they truly are when they play Ohio State in a couple weeks, as I said. But for now, I'm trusting Penn State. They say at 6.
For my 6, I talked about it earlier. I talked about North Carolina, and that did not change since it came back to me. I still have them at number 6 this week. Ryan has them at 13, but that is not part of the video because we're only going to 8. That's his opinion, and that's okay. But I like Sammy Howell too much to put them lower than this, I think. I don't know, for some reason I just like North Carolina, probably because Trubisky, and I'm a Bears fan, even though...
Why are you putting bias into your rankings? What the heck?
At least I'll admit I did it. And there's not a problem with it as long as you admit it, but it's okay. So anyways, I have them at 6. Now for 7, I'm going to say the one that both of these two said for 6. I'm going to go with Penn State. I really like what I've seen from them. And Clifford, I think they're going to have a really good team this year. I haven't played a game yet, so you can't put them up there with some of the better teams. The other 3-0 teams got to come towards the back end of it. But once they start playing, I think they're going to be really good. I'm excited to see it. Penn State at number 7.
For my number 7, I'm kind of going a little different route. I got Wisconsin. I know they haven't played yet, but I think this team is really good. And you mentioned UNC. I don't know. They've had good games, but they haven't really, put it all together. Their first game against Syracuse, they started off really slow. The Boston College game, they barely won. And as I watch them, I think they're good. I think they're gonna be good. But they haven't really shown me that it factor. That factor is okay. I can put you above these teams like Wisconsin, like Penn State, like some other teams I'm gonna name later, not much later because we're almost done with this. But I really just haven't seen that. And again, it's so difficult to rank these teams when some haven't played, some have played, some played one game, some played three. But I just really haven't seen it from UNC, and I think Wisconsin's going to be a pretty good football team this year. There was a little injury concern with Jack Cohn, so we'll have to see how that plays out. But Wisconsin, they'll actually kick off the Big Ten season on Friday, October 23rd against Illinois, so be sure to tune into that. But yeah, I think this is going to be a good team, and I trust them enough to keep them at 7 despite not playing.
Well, I'm putting North Carolina at 7 despite you just bashing on them. Their defense didn't play very good against Virginia Tech. But other than that, they've looked good. I'm loving what Sam Howell's been doing. I think he's going to be one of the top quarterback prospects coming out of this draft. I'm excited to see that. I think he's going to continue to run this offense in a great way. The defense will recover. I have confidence in this team, but I am a bit concerned because they started off hot last year, then kind of decreased, but I'm not basing off last year. This is this year. So North Carolina, right now, you're at 7. Now my last one. Number 8. This was a tough one for me. I had a couple in mind. But I ultimately went with Texas A&M.
Okay. Big win for them.
Yeah, I was trying to get Ryan to get flustered and see who I was going to go with because I was moving the screen around, but I knew I was going with A&M. Kellen Mond's looked great this year. I liked him last year as well. And he's showed immense improvement.
I mean, he's been really good and really bad.
I mean, yes. But, I mean, the way this team's playing, I know they're 2-1. But, I mean, you look at these other teams, Florida, Miami, they both lost one game as well. But they've put up a better record. They beat Florida, so no way they're going to be behind them.
Well,
I think they are in the AP poll.
Yeah. Florida's at 10, A&M is at 11.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
To me, no way they're behind them. I mean, they did a great job last week, and if they impressed me enough to put them at 8. Could that change quickly? Yes, but right now they're at 8.
I think it'll change.
It's reactionary ranking.
Yeah, especially this early in the year.
So
a lot of these are reactionary.
When you do your rankings, you do it based off.
Well, also based off the future, but it's also you have to react to what's happening. If something good or bad is happening, you have to react to it.
Yeah, exactly. Like if things aren't really going well, how can you say?
See, that's why I have teams like Ohio State at 4 because nothing bad and nothing good is happening. But for teams like Florida, drop down because something bad happened.
Yeah.
Anyways,
but before I even say who I have at 8, I just want to say good for Texas A&M to get that win. They just missed out for my top 8, but they are. Not far behind, that's all I'll say. But, happy for Jimbo Fisher and that team because last year they played so many SEC powerhouses, could not get that big win, lost to LSU, lost to Auburn, Alabama, you name it. They had a really tough schedule, but they finally were up to the challenge and got that win over Florida. Happy for, Kellen Mond and that team. Did not expect them to win that game, and Florida is a team that I was really high on. So good job, Texas A&M, but you are just outside of the top 8. Who do I have at number 8? I have Minnesota at number 8, and this will probably come as a little bit of a
surprise. By the way, they're at 24 in the AP poll, and in the coaches...
someone put them at 9 in the AP poll.
The coaches poll, they're at 25. So barely in the top 25 in both of these. Ryan has them at 8. Just wanted to mention it. It's your opinion, but just wanted to mention that.
Because these AP poll voters, they should go out and vote. They're in voting now. Let the college football world know how you feel about these teams, And I'm going to answer the question about why... The question you're probably asking about why I'm so high on this team. I'm really high on Minnesota. I mean, that's just a fact. It's kind of been like that for a while.
Yeah, a long time. Way too long.
I know this is kind of a surprise, but I'm a big fan of Tanner Morgan. Rashad Bateman is opting back in. That is huge for them.
That's huge.
Because he really did good things last year. So did Tyler Johnson, but Tyler Johnson, he's in the NFL right now.
Great player.
I don't know. I mean, he's kind of underwhelming. We saw Tyler Johnson in the Bears-Bucks game. He had good stats at the beginning, but then just kind of dipped,
Yeah, but I mean, he's been playing well. But we're not talking. He's gone now. Let's talk about this Minnesota team right now. Because things have happened recently with Minnesota that have not been great.
Well, Tanner Morgan's one, and I said I've already scouted him a little bit for next year. He's good. PJ Fleck, I assume, is the other one. I love him as a coach. He is a very enthusiastic guy, and
reminds me of Robert Saleh.
Oh yeah, that's actually a good comparison.
They're both bald too.
Yeah, PJ Fleck, I believe, just got an extension, so he's going to be staying in Minnesota for a while. He's going to be staying in Minnesota for a while.
What did you say? 3 times.
I got to get it out, but yeah, I'm really high on this team. This will come as a surprise, but I think once the Big Ten starts playing, they will prove me right. And yeah, don't let me down, Minnesota.
PJ is one lucky guy.
All right. Well, in the actual polls, Florida's above A&M, who Tyler had at this spot. So I still like Florida. Their defense is just atrocious, honestly. but I like what I've seen from both Kyle's, Trask, and Pitts. But their defense is just not sustaining for me. I don't think Texas A&M is going to be consistent throughout the season. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to default to what the AP poll has next. I haven't even watched them play, but I don't care. Oklahoma State, I have at number 8. Chuba Hubbard in Oklahoma State. If I'm being honest, he's the only player I know on that team. But week one, it was
one of their receivers.
No, week one it was a narrow victory over Tulsa. Then West Virginia was a bit. When they beat West Virginia by a bit
Spencer
more.
Sanders got hurt in that week 1 game too.
Yeah, and then
The real LSU.
and then with Kansas, and then last week with Kansas, they kind of ripped them. Or it wasn't last week. I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago with Kansas, they were on a bye this week, or they had off this week. But they kind of tore Kansas apart, 47-7, beat them by 40. If you can't do that simple math, so they've played pretty good, and they're 3-0, so deserve to be up there with the big guys. And I have them at number 8, and that is it for this video. Tyler, go.
All right. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'm gonna wrap it up quickly because this went longer than I expected. But thanks for watching this video. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, notification bell, comment your rankings down below, as well as your opinions on our rankings. And with that, we will see you guys later.
See ya.